Welcome back, everybody, to the Renaissance Tourism Podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Riley. It's great to have you all back. In today's episode, I'll be discussing the Middle East after America leaves that region or potential leaves that region, just depending how the recent politics over the Israel and Hamas war turns out. That is a conflict which has been ongoing since the 7th of October 2023. No, let's get the show on the road. Okay, as again, which I've already stated, we'll be looking at the release, which is part of a series of podcast episodes. We'll discuss different regions of the world and what they'll look like when America finally leaves the rest of the world and retreats to the North American continent, or more accurately, if it's interested. The immediate consequence of this is opportunities for regional powers within the actual region itself. See, America, since the end of World War II in 1945, which is over 80 years, has guaranteed the security and economic security and the protection of Europe and other places around the world, including the Middle East. America working to keep that region stable, working with Saudi Arabia's, even worked with Iran before the 1979 Iranian Revolution. So they worked together with those powers, worked with Israel, worked with Turkey to stabilize that region. The reason why the United States did this was because during the aftermath of World War II, America needed allies to fight the Soviet Union, to fight the Russians. And the only way that they could actually do this was by, rather through conquest, was to actually bribe and build an alliance network. And did this by protecting global shipping lanes and subsidizing each other nation's national defense budgets. That's how that the nations of Europe could actually go forth and actually build welfare systems. It's why the United Kingdom, an island nation, gutted its fleets. And a clear example of this is during the Suez Crisis of 1956, where the Israelis, where the French, where the British tried to actually take control over the Suez Canal. And what the Americans did, they crashed the British economy, got the British to actually stand down, and led to the collapse of the Anthony Eden Conservative government in 1957, replaced by Harold Macmillan. This is because America uses its political and economic power to influence the Brits. And also, the US historically also needed to secure oil as well in that region. With its allies, America historically, their independent security, energy independence up until the 1970s, and now they've reclaimed that independence with the shale revolution. That was where you could actually get the oil, which previously the United States they had some of the technology, but the technology needed to develop, needed to advance, so they could actually achieve this. Furthermore, American presidents, since the election of Bill Clinton in 1992, the American public and American presidents have grown increasingly disinterested in the rest of the globe because America won the Cold War, which lasted from 1945 to 1989 or 1991, depending on your perspective, because the Soviet Union ended in 1991, but the Berlin Wall fell in 1989. So a lot of history as well, a lot of political events. It's not just a series of one fact to the other. There's an element of storytelling and an element of perception as well. If you want to have a good feel of history, this is more of a broader topic now. You want to read the actual journals and letters of people, the actual time period as well, so you can actually get the experience and what they actually thought as well, rather than a person from the present day talking about it to yourself. Reading those kind of journals, reading those kinds of diaries, or reading those kinds of memoirs, you'll find will be very informative. Now, also regarding to American energy security, the United States primarily gets its oil from North America and South America. That's Canada, that's the United States itself, that's Mexico, and Venezuela. So again, the United States' main geopolitical concerns is the North American continent and the South American continent because that's America's backyard. And because of this, the United States growing disinterested. They're no longer really interested in the Middle East itself. That means the actual regional powers within that region are going to have to start fending for themselves, start making their own decisions. Uh, the four main powers within that region, I would argue, it's Turkey, and one of those military advanced states within the region. Then you've got Israel, similar reasons. Then there's Saudi Arabia, which has a population of around 10 million. And then we have the Iranians as well. They're the big four of that region. Now, for the Turks, Turkey, they're a European and Middle Eastern power. We've also got concerns in the Balkans, concerning the Aegean over border disputes with Greece and over Cyprus, which is always could be a potential hot war between those two wars. Though my money is on Turkey for winning. So we've got a concern there concerning the Balkans. We've got a concern with the Russians in the Black Sea as well. That's another concern. And then they've also got Iran, Israel to worry about as well. See, Turkey, they can't put their back into any one issue because they're surrounded by potential threats, potential issues, and other conflicts. So it's sandwiched between all these concerns and all the geopolitical concerns, which means that for Turkey, they don't have the ability to maneuver. Unlike island nations like Japan, like Britain, who are of significant size, they can choose what conflicts to enter and how to intervene. So Turkey, they have the option as well. Then we have Iran. Historically, Iran has always been able to expand, but they've always been pushed back, contracted. But Iran, Persia, it's always really existed. I think it's over 1,000 years, not over 1,000 years, over 4,000 years, so it's quite a long time. It may even be longer than that. I think it's a similar age to actually China in terms of its continuity. So you've got the Iranians there. The Saudis, they very much still rely on the United States for its own protection as well, because it's a military force that is funded and provided. It's one of the most advanced militaries in the region, but it's still very much dependent on the United States of America. And also, with the Americans growing increasingly disinterested, they don't have the leverage to get the Americans involved. As for Israel, there's changing demographics within the United States, becoming more Latino, more South American, particularly Spanish settlers. Though Latinos are technically not Spanish, because that's another discussion. They're just like the descendants of like the settlers or colonial peoples. So as America becomes more Latino, they're going to lose interest in Europe anyway. The concerns are going to be South America, not Europe. It's how demographics work and how family relations work as well. You think about your family, you think about where they're from. It's normal. It's not going to be a negative thing. It's not going to be a bad thing. Well, it could be a negative for the Israelis, but that's another story in general. Now other players in the region that are actually not from the region. It's China. China has a 600 ship navy, but according to the geopolitical analyst Peter Zion, only 50 of its vessels are actually capable of traveling over 1,000 miles from the coast of China. So the Chinese are not yet an option. And it will also, according to Tim Marshall, be another 30 years or more until China can build a navy which is capable to project power all around the planet. So China, they're not an issue yet. The other option is Japan. Japan cannot actually influence the air. They can actually disrupt shipments actually going to China. That's if the world actually disintegrates from the actual global order the United States has been maintaining. Because of this, nations like the British, like the Japanese, like the French, like the Turkish, all started to behave like proper nations again, rather than this position where the United States wrote everybody else's foreign policies, or, or the very least get as close to it, just because the United States created an alliance where it basically satisfied everybody's interests. That's what made the Americans so successful. It was a massive bribe. This covers today's episode. Hope you found it enjoyable, informative. Thanks for listening, and peace out.